The version of you that set the intention is already dissolving, and you're wondering if that means the vision is dissolving with it. You're in the middle of something that feels like losing yourself. The old reactions are gone, but the new ones haven't arrived yet. The goals you set 3 months ago sound like they belong to a stranger. By the end of this, you'll understand why that gap between who you were and who you're becoming is the most sacred and most dangerous territory you'll ever walk through. Identity reconstruction begins the moment you decide your current self can't carry you where you're going. You said yes to a bigger life. You started the inner work. You revised your self-concept, changed your mental diet, began living in the end. And then something happened that nobody warned you about. The old identity started to crack apart faster than the new one could form. You're standing in the rubble of who you used to be, holding a blueprint for someone you can't quite feel yet. Neville Goddard called this dying daily. He meant it with full weight. The person who holds a new assumption must release the person who held the old one. That release looks like confusion. It feels like forgetting who you are in the middle of a conversation. It sounds like your own voice saying things you don't recognize. The old you is leaving, and the new you is still assembling itself from the inside out. So where does the vision live during this if the identity that created it is decomposing? What anchors it? Your vision was never stored in your personality. It was never a product of your habits, or your history, or the version of you that happened to be standing there when the desire appeared. The vision came through you. It used your current identity as a doorway. The way light uses a window. The window can change shape. The light remains. This is where most people abandon the process. The discomfort of the middle passage feels identical to failure. Your mind scans for evidence that the new assumption is working, finds nothing familiar, and concludes something went wrong. But the absence of evidence during reconstruction is the evidence. A caterpillar in the cocoon has no wings and no legs. For a brief period, it has almost no structure at all. It's biological soup with a destiny encoded in it. You are the soup right now. That's the uncomfortable part. The temptation during this phase is to grab onto any solid identity just to stop the vertigo. You'll want to go back to old patterns because at least they felt like something. You'll want to tell people a clean story about who you're becoming because the formlessness is unbearable. Resist both. The moment you crystallize too early, you freeze into a shape that's smaller than the one you were building toward. Neville taught a practice most people simplify into a visualization technique. It goes deeper than that. Live in the end means occupy the emotional reality of the fulfilled desire so completely that your current circumstances become the shadow and the imagined state becomes the substance. During identity reconstruction, this practice becomes your spine when everything else has dissolved. Here's what that looks like at 3 in the morning when you can't sleep and nothing feels real. You close your eyes. You don't try to see the future version of yourself because that version doesn't feel like future anymore. You feel the wish fulfilled. The key word is feel. You sink into the sensory reality of already having what you desire. The texture of it, the weight of it in your chest, the specific way your shoulders drop when something you've been carrying for years finally releases. You're rehearsing a state of being, and you stay there long enough that your body starts to believe it. The body believing it matters more than the mind understanding it. Your conscious mind will argue. It will present spreadsheets of reasons why this is impossible. The body doesn't argue. It responds to sustained emotional states, the way soil responds to water, slowly, silently, and then all at once when something breaks the surface. But what about the days when you can't feel it? When the vision seems absurd and the old identity is pulling you back like gravity? Those days are part of the construction. A building under renovation looks worse halfway through than it did before the work started. Walls torn open, dust everywhere, exposed wiring. Someone walking past might think the place is being demolished. Only the architect knows the difference. You are the architect. The blueprints are in your imagination, and the fact that the demolition phase is painful doesn't mean the blueprints have changed. Abdullah, the Ethiopian rabbi who mentored Neville, once closed a door in his face. Neville had come to him saying he wanted to go to Barbados but couldn't afford the trip. Abdullah said, "You are in Barbados," and shut the door. He refused to entertain the old story. He wouldn't even let it into the room. That's the discipline required during reconstruction. The old story will knock, loudly, with evidence, with receipts. You have to be willing to close the door on it, with love, with firmness, and without explanation. This is where mental diet becomes survival equipment. Every thought you entertain is a brick. During stable periods, a few negative bricks get absorbed into a mostly solid structure without much damage. During reconstruction, when the whole building is wet cement, every brick matters. One sustained afternoon of returning to the old self-concept can set the entire project back. The discipline isn't perfection, it's correction. You catch the thought, you revise it, you return to the assumption. Catch, revise, return, hundreds of times a day if necessary. And here's what nobody tells you about the middle of this process. Your external world will actively try to confirm the old identity. People who knew the previous version of you will say things that only apply to that version. Situations will arise that seem designed to trigger old reactions. This is the old assumptions echo. Sound bouncing off walls that are already falling. The echo is loud precisely because the source has stopped. Give it time to fade. Think about the last time you rearranged a room in your house. For weeks afterward, you walked toward the old location of the light switch. Your hand reached for where the lamp used to be. Your body remembered a room that no longer existed. Eventually, the new layout became automatic. You stopped reaching for ghosts. Identity works the same way, except the room is your entire inner world, and the furniture is everything you believe about yourself. The vision holds during reconstruction because the vision exists at a level deeper than identity. Identity is the costume consciousness wears in a particular scene. The vision is the plot. You can change every costume, rewrite every line of dialogue, even swap out the setting, and the plot continues. The story your soul is telling through this life doesn't depend on which version of you is currently standing on stage. It depends on whether you keep showing up. Some days, showing up means a full session of living in the end, rich with sensory detail, tears rolling down your face from the beauty of the fulfilled state. Other days, showing up means whispering "I am" before the old thought finishes its sentence. Both count. The vision doesn't require dramatic spiritual experiences to survive the reconstruction. It requires consistency. Small, stubborn, unglamorous consistency. There will be a moment, and you won't recognize it when it happens, where the new identity locks in. It won't feel like a breakthrough. No fireworks. No choir. You'll just notice maybe days later that you responded to something differently. An old trigger passed through you without landing. Someone said something that would have destroyed you 6 months ago, and you felt curious instead of crushed. That's the new foundation setting. Quietly. The way all real change happens. But what if you're afraid the vision itself needs to change? What if the identity reconstruction is revealing that what you originally wanted was a projection of the old self? Good. Let it refine. A vision that can't survive examination was never yours to begin with. The core desire underneath it, the feeling state, the quality of experience, the expansion you're reaching toward, that remains. The specific form might shift. You might have asked for a particular job and realized you were actually asking for creative freedom. You might have envisioned a specific relationship and discover you were really asking to feel chosen. The essence sharpens during reconstruction. Trust the refinement. The architect doesn't abandon the project when the blueprint evolves. She updates the drawings and keeps building. You are mid-construction. The dust is real. The confusion is real. The silence where your old identity used to be is real, and it can feel like a void that wants to swallow you whole. But voids are just spaces waiting to be filled with something intentional. You've already chosen what fills this one. You chose it the moment the desire appeared in your imagination. The vision didn't ask for your permission, and it doesn't need your current identity's approval. Keep your hand on the blueprint. Close the door on the old story when it knocks. Correct the thought, return to the assumption, and let the wet cement set in its own time. The version of you that can hold this vision with ease is being built right now, in this exact discomfort, with these exact doubts as raw material. The cocoon isn't the obstacle. The cocoon is the method.